Hello and welcome to this tutorial on getting your avatar into Unity. Specifically, this is with The Male Wolf by Julia Winterpaw, but most of what we'll cover in this video will apply to any avatar you may want to upload to VRChat. So before we even start actually getting into Unity, we do need to make sure you actually have the ability to even upload. So there's two things you'll need here that you can get from logging into the VRChat website and just going to this download button right here. So you click on that and we'll get to this download page and you'll have a couple things here. So you probably already have the client, but we need to download Unity and we also need to download the SDK. So let's do Unity first. So we're gonna go ahead and click on download Unity. And then you can see they kind of have a whole thing about setting up the SDK. We'll come back to that. So we're just gonna go ahead and click on current version of Unity right here. And then you can see it says to click here to install Unity Hub. So you want to go ahead and click there and you'll download and install the Unity Hub here and log into that. The Unity Hub is basically like the application that will let you download Unity and any other packages that Unity might use that you probably don't need to get into if you're kind of just trying to do this with VRChat. But basically what we're doing is we're downloading this program and then we're going to click a link and the link will then prompt the Unity Hub to download the version of Unity that you need. So once you download that and you've got that installed and set up, which we're not going to go over, but it shouldn't be too complicated for you to do. It should just be opening the package and running it and getting it installed. Then we're going to go back to this page where it says currently supported Unity version, and you can click this link here. You can see kind of in the bottom left corner there, there's like a Unity Hub / link. That's what's going to open up Unity Hub and get you the right version that you need, which in this case is 2018.4.20F1, which you can see right here. Now in Unity Hub, once you finish downloading it, you'll see it'll show up here in installs. And again, you just want to make sure it's that 2018.4.20F1. This will obviously change if this video is old by the time you're watching it. They'll always be using some slightly newer version probably, but VRChat is lagging behind with the version of Unity, so you can't and don't want to use the most recent version of Unity, which is probably starting with 2020. You want to use whatever version they have on their website that's listed as the currently supported version. So we can go ahead and open up Unity here now. Okay, so once we have the Unity kind of welcome window open up here, we can go ahead and just click on New. And then you just want to name your project whatever you want to name it. So in this case, we'll just call it we'll call it Julia Winterpaw Male Wolf, or JWP. You want to make sure it's 3D and not 2D. So we'll just leave it on 3D. And you can decide where you want to save it. We'll just save it to the desktop for now to make it easy. And then you just want to go ahead and click Create Project. What this is going to do now is it's going to create like a folder for this Unity project, and everything inside the folder will have all the stuff that you'll kind of add to the project. So all of your models, all of your textures, any other files that have anything to do with this project that you're working on. Okay, so now we have Unity opened up, and you can see it's very daunting if you've never used it before. It's still daunting to me, and I have used it a little bit here and there now with VRChat. There's a lot going on, but again, we'll walk through each thing step by step, and it shouldn't be too hard to at least get your avatar uploaded. So the next thing we want to do before we do anything else is get the latest VRChat SDK from the website and get that installed here into our Unity project. So we're just going to go back to Chrome here, and we'll just go back to that downloads page that we were on. So again, it's you just log in to VRChat and you go to this downloads page here, and we're going to go ahead and click on download SDK3 avatars. So depending on the avatar you have, it might be based on SDK2. As far as I know, it should be the same process. You just be using SDK2 instead of SDK3, but this avatar we're uploading today is based on SDK3, so we'll be using that SDK. You can't use SDK2 with an SDK3 avatar and vice versa. It'll mess things up, so just make sure you know what type of SDK you need to be using for your particular avatar. At the point of this video, most avatars are probably SDK2, but a lot of the newer ones that are coming out, they are starting to utilize some of the SDK3 functionality. So we're going to go ahead and click on Download SDK3 Avatars, and we'll get that Unity package downloaded. Okay, so now that we have the VRChat SDK3 downloaded, we can go ahead and import it into our Unity project that we created. So we're going to go ahead, the easiest way I found to do it is just grab it, drag and drop it into the assets folder here. And it'll kind of take a second and it'll bring up this little window that has everything that you're trying to import. In this case, we want to import it all, and it should all be checked already. So we can just go ahead and click import. And we'll just give it a second and it'll add the VRChat SDK to our Unity project file. Okay, and now that our VRChat SDK has been imported here to our Unity project, you can see that there's been added like a little menu option here for VRChat SDK. So we can go ahead and click on that really quick. I'll just click on Show Control Panel. So we'll see that here. This is where you can log in with your information, and this will go ahead and give you the ability to upload your avatar to VRChat. So there's a couple tabs here. I'll just go over them really quickly now, although they'll probably make more sense in the future. Authentication is where you log in with your account. Once you're signed in, it'll tell you whether you have the ability to upload or not. Just a reminder, if you haven't been playing VRChat that long, you do have to, there's no real hard and fast rule, but you probably have to have played for at least around 24 hours or so. It could be longer, it could be a little shorter. It depends on what you're also doing in the game. You have to be visiting a bunch of different worlds and making sure you friend as many people as possible, and basically like just showing that you're getting invested in the game and you're spending time in it. The reason why VRChat does this is that they just don't want people creating a throwaway account to spam people and crash people's games, and this helps to combat that. So this way, again, you can't upload until you've spent some time in VRChat, kind of getting used to the game. So you can see once I've logged in here, I'm allowed to publish worlds, and I'm also allowed to publish avatars. So I'm kind of all set on my end. But again, if it says here not allowed, you just have to keep playing VRChat. And once you play for a couple days, you should get that access to be able to upload your avatar. And you'll get a notification in your email, as well as on VRChat itself. They should send you a message just letting you know that you have crossed that milestone. Now you're a new user and not a visitor, I think is what the actual terms are. So under Builder, this is where we're going to be actually building the avatar, but we're not there yet. Content Manager, you can see I have one avatar I've uploaded so far. And then under Settings, we'll just ignore that stuff for now. I haven't had to touch that at all. So now that we have the VRChat SDK installed to our project, we'll just go ahead and save it just to make sure it's saved. Now we, of course, need to get the model in that we're going to be using. So in this case, we're going to be using the Wolf by Julia Winterpaul. And I got it through the Patreon, so it might look slightly different if you buy it now through Gumroad. But either way, you'll have a Unity package file, and that's what you want to be importing into your project. So we're going to go ahead and grab that, and the same thing we did with the VRChat SDK. We're just going to go ahead and drag it and drop it into assets. And then we just have to give it a second here, and it'll slowly bring all that stuff in. Well, okay, it'll give us a list first, and we can choose what to bring in. So this is actually very important. You can go ahead and click these little arrows to collapse everything. So we'll do that just to kind of see everything that's in here. We don't want any of this stuff in here, because if we do have any of this stuff, it's going to overwrite the latest version of the SDK, which is what we have. So we actually want to uncheck that folder completely. You can see everything else is checked except for that VRC SDK folder. We want to uncheck that folder. That way it's not overwriting the VRChat latest version that we just installed. And when we click import, it'll just leave that folder here under assets, and then just add everything else we need. So we're going to go ahead and click import. And as it imports stuff, you're going to have all these little like windows pop up. Let everything import first, give it a second, and then you should be able to just go ahead and close these windows. Okay, so now that we're all done with that, like I said, a couple windows might pop up. You can go ahead and just close those. That way we just kind of are seeing what we need to see here in the project. Okay, so the next thing we're going to want to do, of course, is actually be able to see our model. There's still nothing here in the scene that we're looking at. And you can see there's like scene and a couple other things here. We're kind of just focused on scene for now. So you want to do is find the scene that's going to have the model. In this case, I believe it's setup scene. But again, every file should be different. Hopefully they'll have the scene in the scenes folder, but it could be just somewhere in the assets folder here. But we're gonna go ahead and just open up setup scene for this particular file. And you can open that up by just double clicking it. So we double click that, and now you can see we have our avatar chilling out here, which is sweet. So if you are looking for the scene file and it's not in the scenes folder here, or there isn't a scenes folder, you're basically just looking for an icon that looks like this. Again, if you go to the assets folder, you can see there isn't necessarily an icon that looks exactly like that. From what I've found, that's kind of the icon for a scene. So you just want to look for something that looks like that, and you can go ahead and open it up. On some other avatars that might be more descriptive, the setup scene, it might say like, you know, scene for this particular version of this avatar or something like that. Some other avatars, like I know the Zeus by Cyberware, when you open up one of the scenes in that file, you might actually get more than one avatar. You might see like 5 of them or something like that, all in the scene. You're basically just going to be applying the textures and things to the ones that you want to upload. And then when you go to upload, you'll have the option to choose which one of those you actually want to upload. It won't be uploading 5 avatars as one or something. So now we just want to get our textures actually onto our model, assuming that your character isn't just a blue wolf that looks exactly like this, which it probably isn't. So again, we've created our custom retexture of this model in Substance Painter, as I went over in the last video I created, which I'll just link here again in case you missed that for some reason. That should provide some helpful basics on Substance Painter that would just get you started on making your own custom skin. So there's 2 ways to do this. One way would be to click on the wolf here, and we'll go into the body here, and under custom body and custom tail, you can go ahead and change the texture and the emission map here. So you could do all that by hand for the body and for the tail, and I think the hair also requires you to put that stuff on here too. But we're going to try and make it even simpler. We're just going to go to the materials folder here, and you can see there's basically 2 files that we'll be working with. You can kind of ignore the rest that are in this folder for now. One is going to be blue variation tail material BC. The other is blue variation wolf body material BC. So the BC stands for base color. And again, those are the textures that you would have had exported out of Substance Painter. Those Substance Painter texture files will have the name base in them. So what we're going to be doing, which is even simpler than trying to drag and drop it onto those different fields, we're just going to be replacing the texture file completely. This way, again, if you need to have it on the body, but also the tail, but also the hair, but also whatever else might have the texture applied, we're not having to apply it by hand each place where we might miss something or screw something up. This way, if you're just replacing the file for this texture with the one we want, we'll end up having it applied to everything automatically. So this is the suggested way of doing this by the creator of this avatar, and I've found that it works very seamlessly. So let me dig a little deeper into what I mean by just replacing the texture file. So we're going to go ahead and get our texture files up here. Okay, so you can see I have all my texture files up here in Explorer. They're all saved as targas, which is the file type we're going to be using for this particular model. Some newer models or just different models might use PNG or some other image file format. But in this case, again, we're using targas. When you're in Substance Painter, you can go ahead and if it's not a targa or if it's not whatever you exported it as, you just go back into Substance Painter and just export it as the type of image file that you need it to be. We're going to go ahead and right click on one of these files and we'll say show in Explorer. So that's going to go ahead and open up this folder here. This is literally exactly where that file resides in your Unity package, which again we call JWP Male Wolf in this case. So what we want to do here is again identify those 2 files that we were looking at. One you can see is right here, blue variation tail material underscore BC. The other one is right here, blue variation wolf body material underscore BC. So those are the 2 base color files that we're going to be replacing. This one right here and this one right here. So first we want to make a backup of these files in case we ever need them again, or I'd just like to do that. I think it's a good idea. So we're going to go ahead and copy these and we'll open up that other folder where our textures exist here. And I'm just going to paste them there just to keep the backup there. Then what we want to do is we want to copy our, we'll start with the tail first. We'll copy the tail, and we'll go ahead and paste it into the materials folder here. And you'll see it'll end up at the very bottom of the folder right here. So what we want to do here now is go ahead and we're going to be renaming this to this one right here. So first we'll click on this once, then we'll click on it again. Don't double click it. You're going to click on it once to select it, give it a second, then click it again to rename it, and that'll let you copy this text out here. I'm just doing Control C, but you could right click and copy the text as well, however you want to copy it. And then we're going to go ahead and delete this file because we already made a backup of it, so you don't need this one anymore. And then we're going to go back down to our file that has the wolf name, and we're going to go ahead and do the same thing. We're going to click on it, select it, click on it again to get into the rename file section. We can delete that file name, and we're going to go ahead and paste the name of the file that we just copied. So it's Blue Variation Tail Material BC. And we'll see that pop back up to the top of the list here. It has the same name. Now if we go back into Unity, we'll watch it update. Well, yeah, it's the tail, so we won't see it right away, but give it a second, and now you can see the tail has been updated to match the character that I'm uploading, which in this case is my own. So now we want to do the body texture as well. So we're just going to go back to both of our Explorer windows here, and we're just going to do the same thing. So again, we want to go ahead and copy the body material base map, and then we want to go ahead and paste the body material base map into our materials folder here. And then we're going to go up to the wolf body material BC targa file. Again, always make sure it's the targa file and not one of these meta files because they're obviously different. They might even say .targa.meta, but the meta files, those are just information about the file itself. So we want to be changing the file itself. So we'll go ahead and copy this file name. And again, we can delete that file now out of the folder because we have the backup of it. And then we can go back down to this wolf body material base map. We can copy that name into here, and then we'll go ahead and let that pop its way back up here. Now when we go back into the Unity project again, we'll magically watch the body get that texture as well, and the hair and everything else. So again, by just swapping the textures, we've now applied it everywhere it needs to be applied on the model without having to mess around with anything on the model itself. That, again, I really do think is the easiest way to do it. It just takes a little bit of finagling with the files. And now that we have our texture set, we're pretty much ready to upload. I will show you a couple other things here really quick that are specific to this model that you probably want to change. And then we'll go ahead and go through how to upload to VRChat. So one thing we definitely want to change, I'm not sure why exactly it's set. It might have just been a mistake by the creator or something like that, but the tail actually has a different saturation than the body. So you probably can't tell as much here if we zoom in a little bit, but the tail color is like slightly darker than the rest of the body. So what we want to do is go to body and then go to the custom tail drop down here. And there's this option that says saturation. So what we want to do is set that to 0 and not 1. And 0 in this case is actually in the very middle of the slider. And the thing is, you probably won't be able to get it with the slider. You can just go right in here, delete all this, and just hit 0, and then you'll have that set to 0. So we're doing that just to match the body, which should already be set at 0, and the hair, which is also set at 0. Everything else is set at 0. For some reason, the tail was set at 1, which again, it just oversaturates the colors of the tail and makes it so that the colors don't quite match the body, and we don't want it all to match. So now that we've changed that, there's one more thing we can change, and this is completely optional. If you like it how it looks, that's fine. In fact, you may even want to upload it first to try it, and then you can always go back and upload again, which we'll walk through how to do that in a minute here. But one thing that this body has is a thing called emission strength. What that is, you can see here, I'll just play around with the slider here really quick. It's under special effects down here. So if I play around with the slider, you can see it makes me like super bright or like super dark or whatever. Essentially what this is doing is it's having an effect very similar to what was called full bright in Second Life. If you ever played Second Life, it basically lets the colors on the texture show through even if there isn't lighting. It's as though the model had its own lighting even when there's no light around. So the problem is if you're in like a darker world on VRChat, your character will still look like this even though it's like super shadowy. So again, you might like that, or you might want a little bit of that on so you can still see your character even if it's pitch black. Or you might want to turn it off completely so that the lighting is a little more natural in the world that you're in, where like in this case you can see the light is hitting the front of the body fine and you can see the front of the body, but he would be in shadow in the back. So there are parts of the back that are even completely black. So again, you can kind of choose whatever you want with this. You can leave it at 0.2. You probably don't want to turn it too high because then you actually just look bright all the time, unless that is the look you're going for. But you could mess with it. If you don't want it at 0.2, you can maybe make it 0.1 or 0.01, or, you know, you could bump it up a little bit if you didn't want it to be completely at 0. So I usually have been putting it at 0, but for this purposes of this one, we'll put it at 0.1 because I have been wanting to kind of test that out. So now that we're done with that, our model should be pretty much good to go for upload. So to upload through the VRChat SDK, well, you know what? First, I'm just going to make sure we save the file. This might auto-save, I don't know, but it can never hurt to go ahead and save as you work through things. So we're going to go ahead and click on the VRChat SDK menu option here, and go ahead and again click on Show Control Panel. I'm actually going to go ahead and dock the control panel here to the side. So you just click on that little tab, you drag it until it's next to the inspector, and you can drop it. And this way you can swap between these two now as tabs rather than having this be its own window, which I think usually stays on top of everything, which can kind of get in the way as we go to upload. So now we can go ahead and look at Builder. And in this case, it doesn't actually show any kind of errors. It just has some like warnings, I guess. You can totally ignore these warnings. If you get an error here that says something about the MIP maps, it'll be like red next to it. You can go ahead and click autofix right here on the side where it says autofix, and then you should be good to go. You just want to make sure you click that autofix option. So you really shouldn't have any other like red errors here other than maybe that MIP map one, which again, you just click autofix and it should fix it. If you do have other errors, you might have to look into how to fix those because I haven't seen anything else pop up on my models, the couple that I've messed around with here in uploading. So now we're basically just ready to start the upload process. So you go ahead and click on this Build and Publish for Windows button. And then it'll just say future-proofing your content. It'll take a second to do like the first setup process before you can actually get to uploading your avatar. So once it's done doing that process where it's kind of getting the file ready for upload, it'll go ahead and bring you to the Game tab here. Okay, so I totally forgot to mention one more thing. I'm going to mention it right now. If you get an error like this where it says error saving blueprint, the issue is that the file that you have probably still has a blueprint ID attached to the avatar. So what the blueprint ID is, it's basically a unique ID that lets VRChat know, like, this is the avatar that I've uploaded. It's like the name that the avatar has on VRChat's side. So what we want to do in this case, say update complete, it obviously didn't work, there was an error. We want to go to the inspector here, and we want to go to Wolf, and you'll see under here, there's the pipeline manager, there's a blueprint ID. So this blueprint ID will be what you'll be creating when you actually upload it correctly, and it's the ID you'll use if you want to update the avatar in the future. So again, ideally, you don't want to be uploading 5 or 6 different versions of the same avatar if you're just trying to fix an issue that you saw in the texture or add, something else to the character that was supposed to be there. Like, you just want to keep updating the same file, and you're just going to go ahead and copy this blueprint ID. I'll show you where that is in a second. In this case, we want to detach it because this is the old blueprint ID that we can't use because it's tied to another account, in this case, probably the creators. We're going to go ahead and detach it. So now there's nothing under blueprint ID. You want that to be blank when you're going to upload. Otherwise, it won't work. We'll get the error that I just got right there. So if we go back to VRChat SDK, we go to Content Manager. Again, you can go ahead and see this. If you click Copy ID, that's where you're going to get the ID for, let's say you have 5 or 6 different avatars that you wanted to update one of them. You can go ahead and copy the ID there and just make sure that ID is placed here under Blueprint ID. So in this case, we're uploading this avatar for the first time. Again, I'm doing it as that version 2, just to kind of show you how a brand new version would work. I'll probably end up making this one maybe like a smaller version of my avatar, because you can make them really small or make them really big. I'll cover that in another video. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and actually get this thing uploaded, since I made that mistake there of not getting the Blueprint ID cleared or detached in this case. So once it's done doing that process where it's kind of getting the file ready for upload, it'll go ahead and bring you to the game tab here with all this information about how to kind of get your new avatar uploaded. So you want to give it a name. So in this case, we'll call it Julia Winterpaw North V2. But again, you can call it whatever you want to call it for your character. You can also give it whatever description you want to give it. I've been just kind of adding some credits here. So like I'll say character and texture, if I can spell, are me. And the model, of course, is Julia Winterpaw. But again, if you want to get goofy with it, like type whatever you want in the description, or you can leave it blank. It's up to you. Under content warnings, you just want to make sure if you do have any of these things that you are checking it off. But in this case, none of these apply to my model, so we're going to go ahead and completely ignore them. And then we do want to make sure the sharing is set to private. Almost all of these avatars that you're making a custom texture for, they're going to require you check it to private as part of the license for the model, because the creators don't want you making a public avatar that anyone can copy, and you can get banned for making it public when you're not supposed to. So again, if it's a custom model, you just want to set to private. That way also, no matter what your settings are for whether people can copy avatars off of you or not, they won't be able to copy this avatar off of you because you've set it to private. So this way it's only you can wear this avatar. Once you have this all set, I would check this off, except you can see our upload image is kind of wrong. It should be right for you, hopefully, but there's some kind of issue with me and my version of Unity where the camera is just broken. For whatever reason, it never quite takes a picture where I want it to, and it starts off here as default. I don't really have a fix for that yet, but I'll at least go over really quick how to set the camera angle, and it should hopefully work for you. So we're just going to go ahead and go to Scene. And now we're back in the scene, and again, we can see our character here. I still don't know why exactly he's like crouches in the scene, but it is what it is. This is the camera right here. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And we're going to go back to the inspector here on the right. And in the inspector, you can see now we've selected the VRC cam, which is the camera you want to select. I think there's another camera somewhere out here. You can ignore that one. That's not the camera we want. We want the one that's called VRC cam. And wherever you move this, you can see in the little camera preview is what you're going to get for your preview. So maybe we want to like get a nice zoomed in photo. And you can mess around with the field of view and a bunch of other stuff here on the right if you want to play around with like what the camera is actually capturing. I'm not going to go over that too much, but it's something you can play around with if you want. So we've set our preview how we want it. We're going to go back to game, and you can see the preview image here. Again, for me, when I upload this, the image will end up being like in my character's legs or something like that. That's just an issue with my version of this file for whatever reason. I still don't know why it happens, but it does. But hopefully for you, it'll just show up exactly like this. That's how it's been working for my friend. So I think it's just an issue with Unity and or the SDK on my end. So now that we have all of this set, we have our upload image set, we can go ahead and click on this checkbox just saying the above information is accurate, and I have the rights to upload this content, which you should as long as you paid for this model that you're adding the texture to. Again, be sure that you are actually supporting these creators and buying the model that you are retexturing. So we're going to go ahead and click upload here, and then we're just going to give it a minute, and it'll go ahead and upload the avatar. Okay, and then we'll get that window that says update complete without an error this time. And it says launch VRChat to see your uploaded content. So we'll go ahead and launch VRChat here in just a moment. Okay, so we're just on the desktop client here, just to kind of show you that the avatar kind of uploaded and is working. You don't necessarily have to get all the way into VR just to see if your model made it onto VRChat. You can always go ahead and do that if you want, but for me, I found it easier just to go into the desktop mode and make sure nothing's broken. So we can just go here, go ahead and open your menu, and we'll go to Avatar. And then under My Creations, you'll see any of the things that you have gone ahead and uploaded. So this is my original upload that I had shown you before. This is the one we just created. So we'll go ahead and click on that one. And we'll say change. And it looks like it's good so far. We'll go ahead and check it out in the mirror here. And it's all looking good. My feet aren't on the floor. My viewpoint is in the right place. If you mess around with the size settings in the wrong way, those can get messed up. But right now, it looks like we're good. And we have our avatar here in the world now. So that's awesome. Okay. So thanks for checking out this video here. Hopefully this was helpful in getting you started here with getting your avatar uploaded into Unity. I will be working on 2 more videos that'll be coming out very soon. One will be showing just really quickly how to actually change your height in VRChat for your model pretty easily and quickly. And the other video is going to go over how to actually swap your gestures and expressions. On this particular model, when you pointed at something, it made you look sad, which could be kind of what you're going for. But for me, like when I point at something, I wanted to look more surprised, I guess. So I just messed around with what gestures corresponded to what expressions. It's not too complicated. And again, I'll go over that in a future video. But for now, again, I hope this helped you out with getting your avatar into VRChat. Have fun with your new avatar now that you have your character in the game. And North out.